Welcome back, everyone. If you've been watching all night long, you know we have had Dandy 2 semifinal games. It's come down to this, Kearsley versus Milford for our 2001 championship on High School Challenge. Let's quickly meet the two teams, the players that will go after this championship. From Kearsley, we have Adam LaFerriere, we have Lindsay Willett, we have Brad Feller, the captain, and we had Jason Brownfield from Kearsley. The coach of Kearsley is Mike Skidmore, Matt Moreno, Brett Harshberger, Rachel Engel, Leah Engel, and Rosanna Dyer are their alternates. And they will meet for the championship game, our team from Milford, where we have Jeff Pickell, Bill Murray, James Dickey, and Jeffrey Gore. And we welcome them back to this championship game. They are coached by Derek Bott and Tim Donahue, and alternates from Milford include Jesse Newberg and Brett Plum. You've met all these people earlier tonight. Couple of special people to introduce, as I've said throughout this series. Dr. William Shaw from Genesee Intermediate School District you see here, and we thank him for all his efforts in judging High School Challenge this year, and also project coordinator from Genesee Intermediate School District for all her work in coordinating this, Penny Clare. So we welcome them for this championship game. And also for this championship game, Chantel Parada will be our scorekeeper and Matt Friedel will be our timekeeper. But more importantly, I want to acknowledge the great work of a team of high school students we've had from Mott Middle College throughout our season. Tori Moore, Annie Ann McGee, Michael Havermail, June Deloach, Matt Friedel, of course, Chantel Parada, and Mike Miner. Thanks to all of you for a job well done, and for a job that you're going to continue to do for the next 20 minutes or so as we get on with our championship game. Teams, you know the rules for round one. It's the toss-up round. We're going to get right into it. Here we go. Good luck. In 1867, this native of Dorset, England, returned home to write The Return of the Native. Jeff, Milford.
Thomas Hardy.
Thomas Hardy is correct. They're named for the Great Pass in the Swiss Alps where they were originally trained. What? Bill, Milford.
Hessians.
Incorrect. Lindsay, Kearsley.
St. Bernard.
St. Bernard is correct. Next toss-up. The stage manager shows us daily life, love and marriage, and death in Grover's Corners. According to the Lindsay, Kearsley.
Our Town.
Our Town is correct. He was born in Denison, Texas in 1890 and died in 1969. In between, he was a general and a president. Who was our 30th Adam Kearsley?
Eisenhower.
Eisenhower is correct. This acute and often fatal disease of the nervous system is commonly called lockjaw. Brad Kearsley.
Jaundice.
It's incorrect. Jeff Milford.
Tetanus.
Tetanus is the correct answer. Alexander Rodchenko created the first one in 1920 when he hung wooden objects to move in air currents. Brad Kearsley.
Mobile.
That's correct. They were the United Society of Believers in Christ's Second Appearing, but the whirling, trembling dances that were a part of their services earned them their nickname. What was this plain and peaceful religious Lindsay, Kearsley?
The Shakers.
The Shakers is correct. Since 1921, this ancient city on the Tigris River has been the Brad Kearsley.
Baghdad.
Baghdad is correct. The revolving breech pistol he invented in Brad Kearsley.
Winchester.
Incorrect. The revolving breech pistol he invented in 1835 was so popular that his name became a synonym for the gun itself. Who was this Connecticut arms maker? Milford, Bill.
Colt.
Colt is correct. Invented by the Hindus and brought to Europe in the 12th century, it had replaced Roman numerals by the 17th. Jeff Milford.
Arabic.
It's incorrect. Invented by the Hindus and brought to Europe in the 12th century, it had replaced Roman numerals by the 17th century. What is this system based on the number 10? Jason Kearsley.
Base 10.
That's not acceptable. I need decimal system. Next toss-up. Birds do it. Snakes do it. Let's see. Brad Kearsley.
Molt.
Molt is correct. In 1947, Thor Heyerdahl sailed the craft Kon-Tiki from Peru to Polynesia. From what, Brad Kearsley?
Gopherwood.
It's incorrect. In 1947, Thor Heyerdahl sailed the raft Kon-Tiki from Peru to Polynesia. From what light wood was his famous raft made? Bill Milford.
Balsa?
Balsa wood is the correct answer. The most famous one is Ricky Tikki Tavi and Bill Milford.
Mongoose.
Mongoose is correct. Next toss-up, teams. It's the most famous play of the 15th century. Its characters include good deeds, good fellowship, God, and death. Who is the title character of this medieval morality play? James Milford.
Faustus?
It's incorrect. Kearsley? Kearsley, Brad.
Bob Dole.
Also incorrect. Everyman is the answer. Here's your next toss-up. For more than 80 years after the first skin of this animal arrived at the British Museum, scientists refused to believe it existed. Jeff Milford.
Woolly Mammoth.
That's incorrect. For more than 80 years after the first skin of this animal arrived at the British Museum, scientists refused to believe it existed. It looked like a mole with a bird's beak. Adam Kearsley.
Duck-billed platypus?
That's correct. When exposed to ultraviolet light, minerals like calcite and fluorite will change. Jeffrey Milford.
Fluorescence?
Fluorescence is correct. Next toss-up. In October 1960, after a diplomat criticized his country, he rose from his seat in the United Nations. Brad Kearsley.
Khrushchev.
Khrushchev is correct. During the Iraqi invasion of Kuwait, it was called Kathima. Its former name has been restored. What is the capital of Brad Kearsley?
Kuwait City.
That's correct. Next toss-up. The innermost moon of the planet Uranus is named for the only female character in Shakespeare's The Tempest. What's the name? Adam Kearsley.
Ariel?
It's incorrect. Milford? Milford. Jeff?
Esmeralda.
Also incorrect. Miranda is the correct answer. Next toss-up. The cover story of the April 1926 issue of Amazing Stories, it became a 1938 radio broadcast. Brad Kearsley.
War of the Worlds.
War of the Worlds is correct. Next toss-up, teams. It was the site of the Constitutional Convention of, Bill Milford.
Philadelphia.
That's correct. In June 1999, it became the most searched word on the web. Jeff Milford.
Sex.
That's incorrect. In June, Jason Kearsley.
UFO.
Also incorrect. In fact, the question goes on to read even more popular than sex, so sex must have been number 2 after MP3. Next toss-up. When Bartholomew Diaz rounded it in 1480, Jeff Milford.
Cape of Good Hope.
That's correct. He created the frog footman, the mock turtle, and the March hare in his, Jeff Milford.
Lewis Carroll.
Lewis Carroll is correct. Members of the second largest insect order, Lepidoptera, they are more commonly called viceroy, monarch. Jeff Milford.
Butterflies.
Butterflies is correct. Next toss-up. Its symbol is a lighted candle surrounded by barbed wire. What is this human rights organization? James Milford.
Amnesty International.
That's correct. This Virginia town was the site of the last important battle of the Revolutionary. Brad Kearsley.
Yorktown.
Yorktown is correct. It's been predicted that a near-mint copy of Action Comics #1 may soon. Jeff Milford.
Superman.
Superman is what I needed. It's a form of acting in which a story is told through body movement and. Jeff Milford.
Mime.
Mime is correct. It's an official authorization attached to a passport that allows it. Bill Milford.
Visa.
Visa is correct. And there is our buzzer. Wow, a lot of questions being answered there. Kearsley does trail even with 120 points, so that does give you the right to go first in round 2, our lightning round. As you know, I'm about to give you a choice of 3 categories. Once you've selected, you'll have 60 seconds to answer up to 10 questions in that category. Remember, you may consult during this round. No need to buzz. I'll be taking Brad's answers as team captain. If you don't know an answer, say pass before I move on. We'll give you 10 points for each correct answer. 20-point bonus if all 10 are correct. Kearsley, once your 60 seconds is up, Milford, you'll have 30 seconds to go after the ones they missed, passed on, or didn't get to. Then we repeat the process. Kearsley, your choices are first lines, one of a kind, or let's play doctor.
One of a kind, please.
Okay, there's only one answer to each of the following questions because each is one of a kind. So for 10 points each, identify these unique people, places, and things. We begin with number 1, the only planet named for a goddess.
Venus.
Venus.
Correct. Oscar Wilde's only novel.
No.
Pass.
The only continent with no glaciers.
Africa.
Incorrect. The only sculpture signed by Michelangelo.
David.
Incorrect. The only female Smurf.
Smurfette.
Correct. The only state that borders Maine.
New Hampshire. New Hampshire.
Correct. The only opera by Beethoven.
The Barber of Seville. Marriage of Figaro.
Incorrect. The only metal that's a liquid at room temperature.
Mercury.
Correct. The only U.S. state divided into parishes.
Louisiana.
Correct. The only one of the 7 wonders of the world that still exists.
The pyramids.
And that is correct. You're through all 10, and you have 6 out of 10 correct. Milford will reset at 30 seconds and turn it over to you. First, Oscar Wilde's only novel.
Catch-22.
That's incorrect, and I'll wait till the clock starts.
I'm sorry.
That was my fault. Roll the clock, please. I'm going to let about 6 seconds tick off of it to be fair. Okay.
Australia?
Australia is correct. The only sculpture signed by Michelangelo.
Gypsy.
Incorrect. The only opera by Beethoven.
Fidelio.
Say again.
Fidelio.
That's correct. And those are the ones. Oscar Wilde's only novel is The Picture of Dorian Gray, and the Pietà is the only sculpture that Michelangelo actually signed. Now, Milford, you may select between Let's Play Doctor or First Lines.
First line.
Call me Ishmael, but we'll take first lines.
Okay. Most fairy tales begin once upon a time. Other books have more memorable first lines. We hope you remember these. I am going to ask you to identify the work after I give you the first line. We're ready. We begin with number 1. Call me Ishmael.
Moby Dick.
Correct. Tom, no answer. Tom.
Tom Robinson.
Incorrect. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
Tale of Two Cities.
That's correct. Chug, 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 puff, 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 ding, dong, ding, dong.
The Little Engine That Could.
Correct. Alice was tired of sitting by her sister on the bank.
Alice Adventures in Wonderland.
That's correct. Scarlett O'Hara was not beautiful, but men
Gone with the Wind.
That's correct. He was an old man who fished alone in a skiff.
Old Man in the Sea.
That's correct. At the village of La Mancha, there lived a gentleman.
Don Quixote.
That's correct. All children except one grow up.
Peter Pan.
Correct. Marley was dead to begin with,
A Christmas Carol.
and that is correct. Kearsley, you have one that you can get back, and it is Tom. No answer. Tom.
The Adventures of Tom Sawyer.
That's correct. And a lot of points scored there. And we don't even get to play doctor. We have to put that away for next season. And we'll total up our points and be back. And in just a few minutes, we will have determined our new High School Challenge champion for 2001. Stay tuned. After a long season of High School Challenge, of having our new champion crowned by the Genesee Intermediate School District and University of Michigan Public Television, qualifying for the American Scholastic Competition Network's Tournament of Champions on Memorial Day weekend in Chicago. two great teams, and it's still a close game. This is the extra credit round. I remind you, consult on extra credit only, not on the toss-ups. I also remind you that when the buzzer sounds at the end of the game, if I'm in the middle of a toss-up extra credit cycle, I'll play through the cycle before the game is officially over. Here's your first toss-up. There are more outfielders in the Baseball Hall of Fame than any other position. What playing position has placed the fewest? Brad Kearsley.
Catcher.
Catcher is correct. Kearsley, King Sihanouk, Pol Pot, and the Khmer Rouge are part of this Asian country's disastrous and bloody history. What country is it?
Cambodia.
That's correct. Alphabetically, AC is the first element on the periodic table. Which element? Brad Kearsley.
Actinium.
That's correct. Kearsley, it's the energy of a proton with the frequency of 1 hertz and is therefore the constant that relates the frequency of a wave to its energy. What is this constant
H.
with the symbol H?
Did you know it? Pass.
Planck's constant is the answer. Here's your next toss-up. The word originally applied to Oriental coins, especially a small coin with a square hole in the center. Bill Milford.
Koku.
It's incorrect. The word originally, Brad Kearsley.
Yen.
Also incorrect. Cash is the word I'm after. Next toss-up. The human ear can distinguish sound intensities that differ by this amount. Often, Adam Kearsley.
Decibels?
That's correct. Kearsley Vanderdecken swears he will never give up trying to round the Cape of Good Hope and is doomed to sail forever in a phantom ship. In what Wagner opera is he the title character?
The Flying Dutchman.
That's correct. Next toss-up. Queen Elizabeth is Queen of England. What country has been ruled by Queen Beatrix? Lindsay Kearsley.
Denmark.
It's incorrect. Let's see. Buzz again, please. Bill Milford.
Monaco.
It's also incorrect. The Netherlands is the answer. Next toss-up. The largest volcanic crater in the world is Kilauea in Volcanoes National Park. In which, Jeff Milford?
Hawaii?
Hawaii is correct. Milford Clem Leobright comes back to Egdon Heath and marries Eustacia By, but Eustacia loves Damon Wildeave, and the two drown together. In what Thomas Hardy novel does it happen?
Return of the Native.
Correct. Next toss-up. The President of the Continental Congress from Jeff Milford.
George Washington?
It's incorrect. The President of the Continental Congress from 1775 to 1777, he was the first person to sign the Declaration of Independence. Brad Kearsley.
John Hancock.
That's correct. Kearsley, one was Prime Minister of Great Britain during the 7 Years' War. The other was Prime Minister during the Napoleonic Wars. They were father and son and had the same first and last name. What names did they share?
Oliver Cromwell.
It's incorrect. William Pitt is the correct answer. Next toss-up, teams. Complete the first stanza of the following poem with its 2-word title. It was many a year ago in a kingdom by the sea that Lindsay Kearsley.
Annabaldi.
That's correct.
Nice job. Let's give it time up.
Kearsley, as part of a huge project he called the Human Comedy, this 19th century French novelist wrote almost 100 novels and left 50 more unfinished. Who was he?
Dante.
It's incorrect. Honored de Balzac is the answer. Next toss-up. It's made from emulsified raw eggs, vegetable oil, and lemon juice. Sounds nasty, but you eat it. Lindsay Kearsley.
Mayonnaise.
Mayonnaise is correct.
Okay, we're back in 65, isn't we?
Kearsley, he was a textile worker recruited by Nikita Khrushchev into a special cosmonaut program. She was, rather. In 1963, she spent 3 days in space in Vostok 6. Who was the first woman in space?
Gagnov.
It's incorrect. Tereshkova. Valentina Tereshkova. Next toss-up, teams. With about 1 person per square mile, it is the least... Bill Milford.
Alaska.
That's correct. Milford, his nymph's reply to the shepherd was written in response to Christopher Marlowe's The Passionate Shepherd to His Love. Who was this Elizabethan explorer, courtier, and author?
Bacon.
It's incorrect. Sir Walter Raleigh is the answer. Here's your next toss-up. Hydrogen is by far the most common element in the universe. What is the most common... Brad Kearsley.
Nitrogen.
It's incorrect. Hydrogen is by far the most common element in the universe. What is by far the most common compound in the universe? Jeffrey Milford.
Water.
Water is correct. Milford, when the Continental Congress met in Philadelphia to vote on the Declaration of Independence, only one colony abstained. What was that independent-minded colony?
Rhode Island.
Was New York.
Dope.
Here's your next toss-up, teams. The younger won the U.S. Open in Brad Kearsley.
Serena Williams.
That's correct. Your extra credit, Kearsley. These gritty, realistic artists of the early 20th century got their nickname from John Sloan's interest in alleys and slums. What was this school of U.S. artists?
Ghetto painters.
Incorrect, the Ashcan School. Next toss-up. It weighs more than 6.5 billion trillion tons. Bill Milford.
The Earth.
The Earth is correct. Milford, in French, its title is Huit Cloy. Its three main characters are dead and locked in the same room for eternity. What is this play by Jean-Paul Sartre?
An American Tragedy.
Incorrect. No Exit is the answer. Your next toss-up, teams. The Persuasions, the Mint Juleps, and South Africa's Ladysmith Black Mombasa are all groups which sing without musical Adam Kearsley.
Acapella.
Acapella is what I needed. Kearsley, it's the home of the Royal and Ancient Club, whose rules govern the game of golf. What is this town of Fife, Scotland, named for one of the 12 apostles?
St. Andrews.
That's correct. Next toss-up. Anything that can go wrong will... Bill Milford.
Murphy's Law.
Murphy's Law is correct. Milford, let's assume that you have 6 players on your team and you want to play them 4 at a time in every possible combination of players. How many teams can you make from your 6 players? Is it 11, 15, 21, or 24?
21.
15. Next toss-up. In biology, it transmits the microorganisms responsible for a disease. Brad Kearsley.
Messenger RNA.
Incorrect. In biology, it transmits the microorganisms responsible for a disease. In mathematics and physics, James Milford.
Vector.
Vector is correct. Milford, yours. You still get the question. In 1988, a human-powered aircraft left Crete and flew 74 miles. It was named for the mythical Greek who also left Crete flying on wings he had made for himself. What was its name?
Brian Shape. Daedalus. Daedalus.
Daedalus.
Correct.
Also known as Brian Shape.
And that brings us to the end of not only a game, but an absolutely outstanding series here on High School Challenge this season. I'd like to begin first by asking Mike Skidmore, the coach of Kearsley High School, to come up and join me, along with Penny Clare from the Genesee Intermediate School District. And Penny, I will give you the honor, as Mike gets here, of presenting this finalist trophy to our runner-up team. If you want to go right across here, Mike, our runner-up Kearsley High School team. Terrific tournament. Thank you very much. And now, if we could have Derek Bod and Tim Donahue come up. Or Derek is coming up, okay. Penny, also thanks to you and GISD for all your hard work in making this possible. Your first year, it's been a lot of fun and exciting, isn't it?
Very exciting. Very
Okay.
exciting.
To Derek Bod and his team from Milford High School goes our 2001 High School Challenge Championship. And I want to thank all of our crew and staff that made High School Challenge possible this season. Remind you that Milford also qualifies for the Tournament of Champions in Chicago over Memorial Day weekend with American Scholastic Competition Network. And I get to work that tournament too, so you got to put up with me for another couple of days. For all of us at High School Challenge, I'm Jim Gaver from University of Michigan Public Television. Have a good day.